Good evening, class. My name is Chanel Walker, and I will be discussing parts 3, 4, and 5 of the Dunlosky et al. Article. Part 3 will cover summarization, Part 4 will cover highlighting, Part 5 will cover keywords. Summarization. What is it? How can students practice this skill? Why is summarizing an effective learning tool? Summarizing is the ability to take a large amount of information and decipher what is the most important and how that may connect to previous ideas learned. One way to have the students engage in summarizing is by having them write a summary of a chapter that will be discussed. The student's summary should exclude redundant material and should include the main point of the chapter. Summarization aids in learning and retention in this way. The student is challenged to recognize the main points and extract from them the rest of the unimportant material. Brett, Zing, and Kolhavi study. The Brett, Zing, and Kolhavi study was conducted among high school juniors and seniors. These students were asked to learn a 2,000-word text about a fictitious tribe. The students were given 30 minutes to study the text using one of 5 different learning techniques. Among the learning techniques were writing the passage verbatim, summarization, note-taking, letter search, and reading comprehension. The students would then write a 3-line text that summarized the main point of the passage. Since summarizing strategies are seen as more effective than writing ideas verbatim, those became the points of measurement for this study. The study showed that summarizing learning material is just as effective as note-taking and offers new skills to the learner, such as organization. Writing the learning material down verbatim is found to be the least effective. Summarizing concluded. Benefits of summarizing can be observed. Implementation of this skill is limited and low utility. The benefits of summarizing can be observed in a classroom setting. However, the issue with summarization skills is that as a learner, you must possess these skills already in order for it to work. It is believed that summarizing should be a skill implemented for undergraduates instead of middle school to high school aged children. In order for a middle school aged child to benefit from summarization, he or she would need an intensive summarization training program as part of his or her curriculum. Providing such a program can prove to be effective but not very practical. For example, time constraints can be an issue here. It might take a couple of hours or, a couple of hours each day for a couple of weeks, and teachers just don't have that much time. Summarization has low utility because it is most useful for those who already understand how to summarize. Learners who do not possess this skill or who have a learning disability will require extensive training, which makes this strategy less feasible due to its low practicality. Next, we have highlighting. What is it? Common behavior among students, and what's the appeal? Highlighting occurs when a student marks or underlines text that he or she deems necessary to their learning. Through a systematic evaluation of textbooks, highlighting was seen as a frequent occurrence in textbooks, meaning that it is a very common behavior that we can see among students. Undergrads, middle school, high school, pretty much across the board, highlighting is a very common learning technique. Highlighting is appealing because it is quick and easy to do. No training is necessary at all. So highlighting, does it work for learners? Well, we have the Fowler and Barker study, and this study the study that they conducted measured the effectiveness of highlighting text. Undergraduates were instructed to read several articles. Students were assigned to 3 groups: the control group, where they only read the article; active highlighting group, where they could highlight whatever part of the text they deemed important; and lastly, the passive highlighting group, where they read text that was previously highlighted. All students were given 1 hour to read the text. After 1 week, the students were allowed to review for 10 minutes and then answer a 54-questioned quiz. This study showed that there is no real advantage to highlighting text. However, highlighting does have an effect on cognitive processing. Students who read previously marked text were more likely to remember the information than those who just highlighted the text. There's also another cognitive process known as isolation effect. Isolation effect is a unique item, rather phonetically or semantically, that stands out from its counterparts. So basically in the article it described that if you were to have a list of words, let's say it was apple, oranges, bananas, and grapes, and then the next word was pen, you're going to most likely remember out of that list the pen other than the other more common items. And so that is the isolation effect. And sometimes highlighting, there is a cognitive process that can make highlighting useful for the learner, is if what they highlighted seems to be a little different than the other context of their material. And with that, they are more likely to learn it. Highlighting concluded. Highlighting is easy to implement. Most students are familiar with the technique. Highlighting can be problematic, though, in that it may discourage students from utilizing other learning techniques that are known to work. Highlighting has a low efficacy because it does very little to boost academic performance. Keyword mnemonic. What is it? Two uses that have been studied empirically, and general uses. Keyword mnemonic is a technique based on interactive mental imagery. Two uses for keyword mnemonic are learning foreign language, vocabulary, and comprehension. Keyword mnemonic is generalized to work in the following areas: foreign language vocabulary, learning obscure English words, as well as science terms, and state capital associations. Keyword mnemonic is popular due to the idea that it will aid in learners having increased memory in several tasks. Keyword mnemonic concluded. The implementation and overall effectiveness. The learning technique known as keyword mnemonic requires a lot of training. Learners must be taught how to develop these interactive images as well as how to retrieve them. The time and effort learners may require to master this skill is not practical when they can use a much simpler skill to garner the same results. Overall, keyword mnemonic has low utility. It is a complicated task that requires intensive training and does not yield better results than much simpler tasks. Keyword mnemonic is not efficient and it does not guarantee durable learning.